Welcome to Freedom Window. Today we're going to look at North Carolina. Before we do that, I want to encourage you to like this video if you like it, share it, subscribe to the channel. If you're tired of hearing biased poll reporting that only picks and chooses the numbers that they like, I look at the internals of every single poll that I include in my average. I will adjust a poll where it is necessary. If you want a channel that gives you reliable information when it comes to polling, subscribe to this channel. All right, let's take a look at North Carolina. First, we'll look at the polls. The polls are showing that Biden is up by 1.9 percentage points. I'm showing that Trump is up by a half point. If you know polling, these are both within the margin of error. North Carolina is a toss-up. Although if you listen to the media analysis, they all suggest that Biden has the edge in North Carolina. Not true. I'm going to show you why. If you look at the competing charts here, the polls have had Biden slightly ahead throughout. I've had it bouncing back and forth. Let's take a look at the recent polling. We've got ABC Washington Post showing Biden up 1. The internals in that one looked okay. Now, here's the thing about North Carolina. North Carolina, as you can see from the exit polls, they have a huge percentage of their vote is independent. And Democrats always outnumber the other two parties, but independents always tend to trend Republican in the state. So it can be a tough state to poll. Ipsos shows Biden up 3. New York Times, Biden up 4. Monmouth, Biden up 1. Every poll I've mentioned so far has a Democrat mean reverted bias, by the way. Survey USA, Biden up 5. Ipsos. RMG, Biden up 2. Tie, UMass Lowell, Meredith has a tie. Okay. If you're looking at the polling and you're looking at the internals, any responsible analyst is going to say North Carolina is a toss-up. It is tied. Now we have the advantage of the early vote. You can go to this website. You can see the early vote for each county. You can see the in-person votes, returned, accepted mail ballots, rejected, requested. I take these numbers and I plug them into my model. And another key set of numbers for my model are these polls, which I have averaged the early vote. They ask everyone, are you going to vote early? If you are, how are you going to vote? And they reach a final number. I've averaged that. In North Carolina, Democrats are overwhelmingly going to vote early to the tune of 72%. Republicans are going to vote a majority early, 52%. These are important numbers, and I will show you why. Here's my model for North Carolina. I take the average of the early vote, or the average of the polls showing who's going to vote early, and I plug them in right here. I plug these numbers in right here. This is the percentage of each party that's going to vote early. I then compare that with the actual number of requested ballots and determine whether they're overperforming or underperforming. Now, this is the mail-only percentage. So this is the number that I'm using for that requested ballot. Applying the early vote, what do we see? Well, we see that the Republicans have an advantage because they're hitting 1.02, which indicates a score of 1 means that you're hitting your poll estimate exactly. A score above 1 means that you're exceeding it. A score below 1, which is where the Democrats are, is that you're not reaching your poll estimate. So, in the end, what do we have? The estimate right now is that Democrats will hit 1.2 million, Republicans will hit 1.16 million, and independents will hit just under 1 million. Now, that may sound good to a Democrat because there's more of them, but you have to remember, Donald Trump won North Carolina in 2016 with a +4 Democrat sample, and that is what we have right now. This is the current distribution of parties if my model is correct. 37.7% would be Democrat, 33.6% would be Republican, and 29% would be independent. Now let's compare that to 2016. Here we see in 2016, 35% of the electorate was Democrat. Here it says 38% roughly. 31% was Republican. This says 34%. 33% was independent. This says 29%. So, a couple of conclusions. The Republicans are where they were with respect to the Democrats in 2016. The independents are down, which that hurts Republicans because they trend Republican. But each and every day, this number is closing. The Republicans are gaining each and every day. Over the last 4 days, the Republicans have gained like 1.5, 2 points, and they're probably just going to keep gaining as the early vote continues to come in, the early in-person vote. So my estimate is really found right here in the party distribution trend lines. If you look at the trend lines, the likely final voter turnout is going to be 39% Democratic, 37% Republican, and 29% independent. If Democrats only outnumber Republicans by 2% in North Carolina, they will lose. They will lose the Senate race and they will lose the presidential race. They've got to be at least 3 or 4 points ahead of the Republicans to have a chance. Now you say, how is that possible if they outnumber? It's because in North Carolina, independents break Republican. It's looking like Trump is doing pretty well in North Carolina. I think he should still go back there and still run ads. But if I were the campaign, I would feel pretty good about our chances in North Carolina. If you like this video, please like, please share, please subscribe to the channel.